What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Fantasy Time. I am your host, Jacob Carter, the Fantasy Guy, and today I have a very special treat for you, a very special treat on top of the normal start 'em, sit 'em, or get rid of them, and the injury report. We are live on location right now, and where on location? Oh, well, none other than the old Paul Brown Stadium. Take a look at that beauty right there in the back. Yes, unfortunately, it was a tough loss for the Bengals yesterday. They could not get it done against the Chargers, cannot stranglehold that division, but it's okay. We will bounce back. I think we got a very good game next week against the 49ers that I am so excited for, and I cannot wait. If at any point during this episode you like what you see, please smash that like button, smash the subscribe button, and just tap on that bell notification. That way, anytime new videos drop, and they're dropping every Wednesday and Friday, you're right there to consume the content, because I'm always dropping the knowledge. Brandon and I are always dropping the knowledge, right? And as you can see, we take it seriously because we're here again at Paul Brown Stadium, live on location. Let's see if we can get the focus on there. Come on, baby. There it is. Look at that beautiful stadium right there, the beautiful surroundings of Paul Brown. Love it. Atmosphere was great. Everything was great about the game yesterday, except we could not get the dub, right? But remember, if you like what you see, smash the like button, smash the subscribe button, and just tap on that bell notification to stay up to date on all the latest content. Without further ado, let's get into another edition of Stardom, Sit 'em, or Get Rid of 'em.
Alrighty, it is nice to get out of that cold. Whew. It was a chilly day. But we are back, and we are here to deliver yet another week of Stardom, Sit 'em, or Get Rid of 'em. If you're new to the episodes, new to the channel, new to fantasy football, new to just how all of this works, basically what I've done is I have 4 position players for you, right? So I have quarterbacks, wide receivers, running backs, and tight ends, right? And within those positions, I have 3 players that I'm going to give you in each category: start them or sit them. Get rid of them, you'll notice it's just kind of a flex category. So if I feel that somebody needs to drop down to that get rid of them, we're going to drop them down there, right? Because if they're not doing anything for your team, just get them off there, right? Stop wasting a roster spot for someone who does not produce. It doesn't make any sense, right? So we got no get rid of them this week. No get rid of them. I think we've been hammering the get rid of them all season long. I think you guys are starting to realize who is really able to get rid of. Remember, all this information will be on the Google Sheet. So if you're new to the episodes, all you got to do is click on the link down below, click on that Start 'em, Sit 'em, or Get Rid of 'em Google Sheet, and you will see all the get rid of 'ems we've had out through the course of the season, just to see if there's anybody on your roster that you notice that has made this list multiple times that you just need to get rid of. But like we always do, we're going to start with the QBs, right? So we got 3 QBs for you, right? Starting us off with your number 3 QB this week is Taysom Hill from the New Orleans Saints. Yes, Sean Payton basically said that he's going to get another shot out there. So Taysom Hill will be your starter most likely for Week 14 against the New York Jets, and what a matchup he has, right? He went off last week. I think he's going to go off this week. Taysom Hill, your number 3 quarterback this week. Your number 2 quarterback is the man. It's really starting to annoy me. With how inconsistent this frickin' team is. Your number 2 quarterback is Justin Herbert, right? Of course they're on the up wave when they go into Cincinnati. Of course. Such but Justin Herbert, your number 2 quarterback this week, taking on the New York Giants team that is not very good. Let's just be honest. They are not very good. Justin Herbert, now this is the down week for the Chargers, so watch them just suck, right? Watch them just suck. Absolutely. Just nothing. We'll see what happens. But Justin Herbert, right now, after balling out in Cincinnati last week, after looking like a franchise quarterback last week, I got Justin Herbert as your number 2 quarterback. Your number 1 quarterback this week is the man playing on Thursday, which is Kirk Cousins. Yes, he blew it last week against the Detroit Lions. Well, he didn't really blow it. The defense blew it. But the Kirk Cousins is going to be your number 1 stardom quarterback this week against that Pittsburgh team that, of course, is just the biggest lingers in the entire NFL. I mean, seriously, they just linger. Kirk, go to work, please. Go to work against this team. Kirk Cousins, your number 1 quarterback this week. Moving on to your running backs, your number 3 running back this week is Nick Chubb from the Cleveland Browns. He's got hurt, right? And then he went on the bye last week, and now he's going to come back. I think he's fresh. I think he's ready to roll. I think he's ready to rock and roll, and I think he needs to be in there for you, right? Kareem Hunt also may be in there a little bit more, but he's also coming off an injury, right? He was kind of sidelined for that game before the bye. So Nick Chubb is your number 3 running back against Baltimore. I think that's the only thing that they're able to do against Baltimore, which is smash that rock. Your number 2 running back this week is a man that looks like he's going to be taking someone's job. It looks very clear and obvious. We got Tony Pollard, right? Tony Pollard keeps and continues to out-snap Ezekiel Elliott there in Dallas. He was on fire last week. So Tony Pollard against a surging Washington team. This is going to be a really good game against a surging Washington team. I got Tony Pollard as your number 2 running back. And your number 1 running back, and I tried to tell you guys last week, and if you didn't put him in, shame on you, and that is Alexander Mattison, right? Alexander Mattison went off last week, and just that is what he does when he comes in for Dalvin Cook. He is a solid, legit backup running back. So if you have Alexander Mattison and you didn't start him, shame on you. Get him in your lineup this week, okay? Alexander Mattison, your number 1 running back this week. Moving on to your wide receivers. Your number 3 wide receiver is CeeDee Lamb. Yes, the only person that I think, and you will see on this list, the only 2 guys I think are going to have 2 good games this week is Tony Pollard and CeeDee Lamb. You might see some others on here from the Dallas Cowboys, not on the stardoms though. I got CeeDee Lamb going off. He had a good game last week, but I have him going off this week in the return. He's fully healthy, fully ready to go. CeeDee Lamb against Washington, who is surging, but CeeDee Lamb against Washington, I think he's able to find the end zone once, if not twice. Moving on to your number 2 wide receiver, and it's the man that has honestly been kind of shut down lately, right? He had an amazing first half, really kind of slow second half, and that is the man I'm wearing right now, and that's the newest jersey I've added to the collection, and that is Ja'Marr Chase. I think Ja'Marr Chase has a perfect rebound opportunity against a crappy San Francisco 49ers secondary. They are horrible. They are horrendous. So Ja'Marr Chase against that horrible San Francisco secondary, I think he's able to get loose, get open, score some touchdowns, get back on track. Ja'Marr Chase, your number 2 wide receiver. And your number 1 wide receiver, and it's this man who I cannot believe I'm putting it on here, but he went off last week, and it's because of a certain somebody is now on the COVID list, and that is Mike Williams. Yes, Mike Williams is your number 1 wide receiver this week, simply because Keenan Allen, you'll see him on the injury report, is on the COVID-19 list, right? So he is really the only guy there besides Guyton, who, for whatever reason, the Bengals didn't want to cover. He was wide open on every single freaking play. I don't understand. So Mike Williams, your number 1 wide receiver this week, perfectly set up to have a monster game against New York. And moving on to the tight ends, right? Last but not least, we got the tight ends. Your number 3 tight end is TJ Hawkinson. Yes, scored last week, had a very good game last week against Minnesota. I think he continues it and has another good game this week against the Broncos. Who knows, that win could have ignited the Lions, right? And just have a decent finish. Not a great finish, not a good finish, but a decent finish, right? So TJ Hawkinson is your number 3 wide receiver this week. I think he has a good game against Denver. Your number 2 wide receiver is, and this guy has been on the list quite frequently, is Pat Freiermuth. Yes, I cannot believe I'm putting a Steeler on here. A week in and week out almost, it feels like. But Pat Freiermuth is a solid rookie tight end, and he's going to be a force for the Steelers for years to come, I think. So Pat Freiermuth is your number 2 tight end this week. And your number 1, and it's the man who had probably the worst game of his entire career, probably one of the worst games of a tight end's ever had this entire season. And I'm having him on here because I think he rebounds. He's got the perfect team to rebound against. This is Gerald Everett. Yes, Gerald Everett had about as bad a game as you could possibly have on Sunday, right, against the Niners. But Gerald Everett, I think he has the Houston Texans. I think he's able to bounce back. I think Russ is able to bounce back. So look for Gerald Everett to actually score some positive points this week. And that's all I have for you on this week's Stardom. Next up, we got the sit-em. Alrighty, moving on to the sit-ems, right? Moving on to the sit-ems, your number 3 sit-em this week. And I took a shot last week with Josh Allen, and I was correct. And I'm taking a shot this week with the GOAT. Yes, with the number 1 MVP candidate, I got Tom the GOAT Brady as your number 3 sit-em quarterback this week. I think that Buffalo defense is going to come out with a vengeance we have never, ever seen. That reporter lit a fire under Micah Hyde and Jordan Poyer's ass like I've never seen before. I think they are going to come out and want to make a statement, an absolute statement on defense, right? They want to show why they are the number 1 defense in the NFL right now. So Tom Brady is your number 3 sit-em quarterback this week. Will not happen very often. Just make a note of that. Will not happen very often. Your number 2 quarterback this week is, and some people are giving him a chance, his roster percentage dropped dramatically over the last 2 weeks. Dramatically, but that is Cam Newton. I love Cam. I think a lot of people love Cam. I love his energy. I love his spirit. I love his heart. I love his character. I love everything about it. The only thing I don't like is his sore loserness, but I understand it because I'm a sore loser as well. But Cam Newton is your number 2 sit-em quarterback this week. Taking on Atlanta, who's not a good team, who is not good at all, right? They're not good at all. But I got Cam Newton. We'll see. Cam Newton is your number 2 sit-em quarterback this week against the Atlanta Falcons. And your number 1 quarterback this week, and I told you you're going to see a lot of them on here, is Dak Prescott. Yes, I know. What? Dak Prescott, he's awesome. He's been struggling a little lately, right? That offense has been struggling to get going, right? The running game has been going, but the passing game and everything else is struggling to get going. Dak against that Washington defense, we shall see, because they're surging. They are surging. So Dak Prescott is your number 1 sit-em quarterback this week. Moving on to your running backs. We got your number 3 running back is Ezekiel Elliott. Yes, Zeke is your number 3 sit-em running back this week because I think Tony Pollard does it again. I think he out snap counts him. I think he out touches him, and I think he out rushes him again. Zeke very well could be finding a new home this offseason. What a turn of events that would be. Moving on to your number 2 running back, and this guy has been on fire lately, but I think this is where it kind of gets put out, and that is Josh Jacobs. Josh Jacobs has been a running beast lately, running all over the field. But against that Kansas City team that is now on an absolute tear, looks like they have finally rebounded, got super back on track, right? They are on fire. I think Josh Jacobs runs into that Kansas City defense. And again, just like last week, I think it's hard for them to produce points. For whatever reason, the Raiders are the weirdest team. I don't know. I don't know. The Raiders are a weird team. Josh Jacobs, your number 2 sit-em running back. Moving on to your number 1 sit-em running back, and I had him on the list last week, but he decided to go absolutely bananas. But I think this defense here will hold him much more in check, and that is David Montgomery taking on the Green Bay Packers. I think the Green Bay defense holds David Montgomery in check. I think he holds the Bears down. Not David Montgomery. I think the Green Bay Packers hold the Bears down from scoring. I think they limit their scoring. And I think the Green Bay Packers defense is much more of a force than we saw the defense that the Bears played last week. Moving on to your wide receivers. Your number 3 wide receiver is, and he caught a touchdown last week, but I don't know. Against this defense, I don't know. And that is Odell Beckham Jr. Yes, against that Cardinal defense, I don't know. I think at Arizona, gonna be in the desert, at home, I think that defense shows up, comes to play, and I think it's gonna be a rough day for the Rams. I really do. Next up, your number 2 wide receiver is Marquise Brown. Yes, Marquise Hollywood Brown. The Ravens offense has just gone like this, and then boom, right off a cliff. Like right off a cliff. They haven't been able to do anything offensively for a while now, for a few weeks now. So Marquise Hollywood Brown, your number 2 sit-em this week against that good Cleveland defense. And your number 1, and it's another Cowboy, your number 1 sit-em wide receiver this week is Michael Gallup. Amari Cooper is back. CeeDee Lamb is back. Tony Pollard's there. Dalton Schultz is there. Michael Gallup, I don't see the spot for you. He may be one of those slot receivers who gets the touchdowns because they're covering everybody else. But as of right now, I got Michael Gallup as your number 1 sit-em wide receiver this week against Washington. And moving on to the tight ends. Last up for this week, we got the tight ends. Your number 3 tight end is Kyle Pitts, who's having an abysmal rookie season, and it's thanks to a certain quarterback. I think it's time. Find Kyle a new quarterback who can get him the ball. He needs to have at least 10 targets a game. At least 10 targets a game. At least. You don't even have Calvin Ridley. You know, like, why are you not finding this man the ball? So Kyle Pitts needs at least 10 targets. He's not getting them, and I don't think he's going to get them against that good Carolina defense. Kyle Pitts, your number 3 sit-em tight end. Your number 2 sit-em tight end is Austin Hooper. Yes, and the only reason he's on this list is because every other tight end for the Browns is either injured or on COVID, right? So Austin Hooper, I still against that Baltimore defense, I don't see it. But Austin Hooper, your number 2 sit-em tight end. And your number 1, and is the man who's been on the stardoms, but he just can't get going. And I think another struggle bus game is coming, and that is Dawson Knox. I think that Tampa Bay defense takes it to Josh Allen again. It makes it difficult for him to do anything on offense. Now, granted, he won't be dealing with 55-mile-an-hour winds, and which means they won't have to really show their running game, because I think it was very apparent, right? 55-mile-an-hour winds, who won? The better running team. The Bills are garbage at the running game. I don't understand it. I don't get it. I don't get it. The Bills are garbage at the running game. Makes no sense. Dawson Knox is your number 1 sit-em tight end this week against Tampa Bay, who I think locks him down yet again. And that's going to do it for you on this week's Stardom, Sit-em, or Get Rid of Them. All right, we are moving right along. I love it. I love the speed of which these episodes are moving now that we've cut down to 3 players per position. I love it. Moving on, you know what's up next. We got the injury report, and this week we got some injuries, right? It's more than last week. This week we got 19. That training room it's starting to get a little bit crowded. We got a lot of people coming actually back from IR, so make sure you guys are checking the injury report, the real NFL injury report, because we do have a lot of people coming back off IR who may look to play in week 14. So you need to pay attention to that, because you may have somebody on your IR status, right, that is set to return, but you're going to miss out on it because you don't elevate him, okay? So pay attention. There are a lot of people returning from IR, so make sure you are checking the actual NFL injury report. Make sure you're checking the Yahoo Fantasy app. Make sure you're checking the ESPN Fantasy app. Make sure you're checking the Sleeper Fantasy app. Whatever app you are using for fantasy, make sure you are checking it to see if any players are coming back off the IR. That is my note for you. But we're going to get into it in another weekly edition of the Injury Report. Alrighty, starting us off this week, we got my guy, and that is Joey B. Joe Burrow is going to lead us off this week with a dislocated pinky that he suffered in the first quarter of the game last Sunday. Says he's feeling better, considered day-to-day, but I believe the expectation is that he plays on Sunday. Next up, we got Joe Mixon, who suffered a neck injury on Sunday, and it didn't look too bad, but he was down for a while, was able to come back in, and then basically gave the game away. But Joe Mixon, neck injury, considered day-to-day, also expected to play on Sunday. Next up, we got T. Higgins, who tweaked his ankle. A lot of Bengals on this list this week. T. Higgins tweaked his ankle, expected to play on Sunday, but he's considered day-to-day. So just make sure if you have T. Higgins, who's been balling out the last 2 weeks, you monitor his status, because he is expected to play, but you know how things change at the last minute. Next up, we got Jarvis Landry, who has a knee injury, missed practice, considered day-to-day. We'll see if he plays against Baltimore. That could be a big loss, but Jarvis Landry, knee injury, missed practice, considered day-to-day. Another Cleveland Brown is Harrison Bryant, a tight end. Yes, I was telling you guys, the tight ends are all sick or injured. Harrison Bryant got an ankle injury. He missed practice, and he is considered day-to-day. So we shall see him. I know that doesn't really have that much fantasy implications, but Harrison Bryant may not be there for the Browns on Sunday. Another man who's not going to be there for the Browns on Sunday is David Njoku, who got put on the COVID-19 / reserve list. So he's going to be under the COVID protocols. We shall see what happens with that. Next up, we got DeAndre Swift. Yes, DeAndre Swift, who missed last week's game, who missed, of course, the Lions' first victory, had a shoulder injury. However, his status is improving, and he looks like he might be on track to return on Sunday. So keep an eye out on that. Next up, we got Tyrod Taylor, right from the Houston Dumpster Fire Texans. He's believed to have suffered some torn ligaments in his non-throwing hand. Will continue to play, is expected to play. I don't think many people have Tyrod for fantasy, but if you do, just be on the lookout for that. Tyrod Taylor suffered torn ligaments in non-throwing wrist. However, it's expected to play through it. The next one up, and this one's kind of big. He wasn't doing anything. John Green got fired, started doing stuff, now not doing anything. And that, I don't know if that gives it away, but that is Kenyon Drake, right? He had an ankle injury. He's out for the season, season-ending ankle injury. He will be gone for the rest of the season. Drop him if you got him. Next one up, and we talked about this, is Keenan Allen. Yes, he's on the COVID-19 reserve list. My only question is this. He was immediately, on Monday, put on the COVID-19 list. So that means he was either playing Sunday's game with COVID-19, or they have the quickest detection test I've ever seen in my life. Yeah, I'm gonna let you process that one for a sec. How is he able to play Sunday, Monday, immediately, first thing in the morning, boom, COVID-19 list? That means he clearly had COVID-19 while playing the game. That's the NFL's job to do a better job, because those 2 touchdowns then shouldn't have happened if that's the case. Do a better job, NFL. That's a freaking joke. Keenan Allen, COVID-19 list. So he just magically got it after the game. Okay. Next up, we got Adam Thielen. Ankle injury. Did not participate in practice. Doubtful for Sunday. Massive loss for some of you who are going into your fantasy playoffs this week or trying to clinch a spot in your fantasy playoffs. Adam Thielen, ankle injury. Did not participate. Doubtful for Sunday, which is gonna amplify Justin Jefferson, Alexander Madison, right? All these players are going to step up, right? So, Adam Thielen, doubtful for Sunday. That's a massive injury. Next up, we got Damian Harris, right? The hero from Monday's crazy game. Hamstring injury. Had to leave the game. We all saw it. He had to leave the game. Considered day-to-day. We shall see. That is a big loss for the Patriots because he is a good running back for them. Next up, we got Taysom Hill, right? Taysom Hill, he has a finger injury. It's known as mallet finger, whatever that means, but he's expected to play through the injury and he's expected to start week 14 at quarterback. So Taysom Hill, remember, he is injured, but he's expected to play. Next up, we got Daniel Jones, who has a neck injury, doubtful for Sunday. He was out last Sunday. Looks like it's going to carry over to this Sunday. Not that big of loss for the Giants since they're not really in any contention at all, but it is, well, I guess it's a big loss for the team itself, not for, I guess, playoff position and things like that. But Danny Dimes, neck injury, doubtful for Sunday. Next up, we got a man who what a flop, is Kenny Golladay, right? Forced out of Sunday's game with a rib injury. Bro. Kenny Golladay, oh my goodness. Next up, we got Elijah Moore, the guy I've been so high on lately. So Jamar Chase led the rookies for the first half. Elijah Moore is leading the rookies for the second half. He is on fire. He has a quad injury though. He missed practice. Consider day-to-day. Monitor his status because he right now is a fantasy stardom every single week. Okay, he is a fantasy stardom every single week, but he has a quad injury, missed practice, considered day-to-day. Next up, we got Michael Carter, who was also balling out. He suffered a concussion. He's considered day-to-day, so he'll go through He'll go through concussion protocol. If he's able to play, he'll play on Sunday. But right now, Michael Carter in concussion protocol, suffered a concussion, considered day-to-day. Next up, we got Corey Davis, who wasn't doing nada zilch, nada nothing on the team, right? Signed that contract, did nothing. He has a groin injury, placed on IR, done for the season. We'll see how he does next season. Waste of a roster spot. Get him out of here. Next up, we got Elijah Mitchell from the San Francisco 49ers. Stud of a back. Absolutely stud of a back. Suffered a concussion, considered day-to-day, same kind of thing like Michael Carter. Go through concussion protocol. If he's cleared, he'll play. If he's not, he will not. Got to monitor those statuses. But that'll do it for this week's edition of the Injury Report.
And that will do it for today's episode. Yes, we are back. We are back at the stadium, and I just want to thank you guys so much for tuning in. Thank you guys for checking out the episode. Thank you guys for taking your time, everything, investing your time, right? We had a little bit of a better week last week. We're hoping to have a dynamite week this week, and I can feel it. I'm feeling good about these guys. I'm feeling really good about these guys. So remember, if at any point during this video you like what you saw, please smash that like button, smash the subscribe button, and just tap on that bell notification. That way, anytime new New videos drop, and they drop every Wednesday and Friday. You're right there. You're right there to get to consume the content, because we're always dropping the knowledge, right? If you're not growing, you are dying, right? So remember to smash that like button, smash the subscribe button, and just tap on that bell notification to stay up to date on all the latest content. And then if you want more fantasy time, right? If you haven't had enough yet, please follow us on Twitter at Fantasy Time 2021. Follow us on Facebook at The Fantasy Guy 2021, and then follow us on YouTube at Fantasy Time 2021. The links will be down in the description for the Google Sheets, right? All the information that we talked about today is in those Google Sheets. So just make sure you click on it, download it, internalize it, right? Digest it, right? Get everything you need to know. That way you are ready to go for next week. We are heading into fantasy playoffs. Some of you it starts this week. Some of you it starts next week. So this is such an important week for you. So make sure you tune in. Playoffs are starting. We are here for another episode of Fantasy Time from live on location at Paul Brown Stadium. I am your host, Jacob Carr, the Fantasy Guy, and until Friday, I will see you guys.